Hello, and welcome to another episode of Chats with Bess in collaboration this season with GenUnity, a local nonprofit here in Boston, Massachusetts, helping shape and educate local people so that they can become leaders in their communities and then hopefully expand this format across the country. So today we have a wonderful member of this community, Jose. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here.
Thank you. So for any of those watching right now, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where did you grow up? What about school? A little bit of your work, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, so I'm proud to say that, I grew up in Honduras, moved to the States, so the city of Boston when I was 5 years old. So Spanish was my first language, but I'm a proud product of the Boston Public Schools. I continued my education at Lesley University, where I studied business management with a minor in health. And throughout that time, I got involved with my community with education initiatives, supporting just the community programming and different. And that really inspired me to become a campus recruiter, which is my current role right now at Liberty Mutual. It's essentially helping students be able to find different career opportunities and be able to bring them over to Liberty. But I'm really interested in our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts and being able to support, those first-gen low-income students who have no idea what corporate America is all about. Because I was there myself about 3 years ago. I got an internship for the first time in the corporate culture. And when I came in, I was like, whoa, like this is different. I never thought that someone from my background could come here. And essentially, I want to be able to create that pipeline to increase representation here at Liberty.
I imagine growing up in Honduras and then coming here was a culture shock, right? And then what you just mentioned, which is very, very true, going into corporate America as a minority is another culture shock. So walk us through a little bit about your coming here and how you manage that culture shock, and then joining corporate America and how you manage that second culture shock.
Yeah, no, a lot of culture shocks. But I really think my communities that I was a member of, and I'm still a member of, really helped me navigate that process. Starting out with elementary school, I only knew Spanish. So I really connected with my Latinx community where I had different, classmates who would talk to me in Spanish, but play with me in English, different Spanglish. And that's how I really learned English. I didn't go to any English classes. It was just me through communication with my classmates, watching different movies. So for that, I was able to learn English. But going over to high school, I joined an organization called Bottom Line, which is an organization that really helps Boston Public School students who are first-gen low income be able to navigate that college process. Now, I knew that I had no idea what the college process was going to be like here in the US. My mom just knew that, getting good grades meant being a good student. And if you were a good student, you would continue on in your career. But you would think it's that easy. It's not that easy. But being able to join that Bottom Line network and that community really, one, made me feel that I was not alone. There was other students like myself, but that we also had, I call them cheerleaders, people who want to support us and really see us be successful, but also help us, learn what we don't know. And that's what it was for the college process for me. I was able to get that support system and really bring my true self to the organization of being a Latinx, being an immigrant, being an English second language learner. And they were able to help me navigate that culture shock of applying to college. Now, going to college, I went to Boston Public Schools, which is really diverse. Going into my first classroom, it was an economics class. I remember to this day, I was the only person of color in the classroom. And this was something that, it shocked me. It's like, wow, I've heard about this, but I'm actually seeing this in person in the classroom. And through that, I joined a lot of student organizations, if it was the Latinx student group or the Multicultural Student Association, the First Generation Student Association, really trying to find my community in this larger community of my institution to be able to connect with people who had a similarity to me and then continue to build those cheerleaders of network that were going to support me. And at my institution, I was a member of the Urban Scholars Initiative program, which is just a pipeline for city kids who, are first in their family to go to college. We had a small community that I think was really my big support system to be able to navigate that and have those conversations wow, I might be the only PLC, but how can we navigate that process? Or what can we do to kind of change this process as well? And then coming into corporate America, I ask for help. I love asking different questions. But when I find a supporter, I love asking questions to them directly. I had an amazing mentor who's still a mentor of mine to this day, a professor who's a person of color, man of color. And he really helped me understand, like, hey, what do I need to do in order to get a job after graduation, right? I know it's not easy, but what are some things that I can do in an undergrad to be able to move forward? And I think him helping me navigate that process, but really keeping it real, having those honest conversations with me, like it's going to be hard, but you're capable of doing it, really inspired me. So I was able to join Liberty Mutual as an intern. And they really put diversity, equity, and inclusion in the forefront through different ERGs, employee resource groups. And that's where I was able to continue to find my supporters as well, of who, I saw that wanted to help me out, of being a man of color, entering this landscape that's brand new for me. But they were also there a couple of years back. How can they support the next generation? And I think just this cycle of like, hey, we got to support each other. We're part of this community. How can we support each other to continue going on in our career? I was able to find a couple people during that internship that really helped me navigate the process of becoming a full-time employee here and still be here to this day.
I love that you focus so much on using community and actually knowing that you need to ask for help. We make such a big deal about not asking for help, about doing it alone, right? About being a self-made person. But there's nothing wrong in asking for help. And clearly you're an example of that, because the better your life is because of the people that surround you, right? So as you are in this position now, and as you grew in your community, how can someone who's just coming here like you did years ago break that barrier and get involved, right? You just explain your story, but sort of like a step-by-step process for someone who is wanting to get into an internship program like you, or someone who doesn't necessarily have that mentor easily accessible. What are some of the tools that someone can use to get involved, even now that you may recommend to students as a recruiter yourself?
Yeah, like I mentioned, the smartest people are the ones who are asking questions. And one of the things that I actually did was utilize LinkedIn. I tell a lot of the students of color, like, get on LinkedIn, if you network to get work. That's one of my mentors, what they told me, if you're going to network, you're going to be able to get work. And it really took me a while to really understand what that meant. But when I came to conclusion was that everyone knows someone that knows someone, right? Like, you could think the city is big, but the city is small in a lot of different ways. And I think being able to utilize LinkedIn and kind of say, hey, I'm interested in becoming a writer. Let me go ahead on LinkedIn and search of writers in the greater Boston area. And one of the things that I was able to do, I was interested in, finding different, if it was diversity internships or different community programming internships, I was able to utilize LinkedIn and just type those roles in and find people who really had Latin names and reach out to them and be like, hey, Juan, like, I'm interested in going into the education landscape. I see that you're a program coordinator here. Would love to learn more about your role. Can we schedule a coffee chat? I think coffee chats are a great pipeline of building those relationships and continue to build that community for that career landscape. So I think one, being able to put in the work to find the work, that's going to be the key one. The next one is really, asking for help for professors. There's always at least one professor that you really have a connection with, or someone that you meet in an institution. They'll be able to help you navigate the college process, the college culture, but also be able to answer some questions that you might have. So I think being able to do that. And then I'm a strong believer in the power of student organizations. I myself was a big member of the undergraduate student government, and being able to connect with different people in the institution, I was able to meet more cheerleaders of mine of who wanted to see me be successful and continue to move on in my career. So I really think, being able to utilize a student organization, a community, and I think a lot of colleges, community colleges, even nonprofits, they have a lot. And I think we have, the power of our phones and our laptops to be able to search them up and just take a first step and go into an event and meeting someone and saying, hey, how can I become a member of this community? And if it's one that you didn't feel, welcome in, let's go find another one. But I think once you start finding one, all those members in that community are members of other communities that you'll be able to like potentially join and expand your network.
And so eventually you came across GenUnity, which is a community that is encouraging adults to support each other by communicating, learning from each other through communication, which is one of my favorite things, because obviously I love to talk to people. So tell us about your GenUnity story. How did you come across GenUnity, and what is your involvement with this nonprofit?
Yeah, GenUnity, the relationship started, I want to say about 2.5 years ago. So I was actually one of the first members to join their housing program back in the fall of 2019, if I remember correctly. And the way that I got there was I wanted to continue to be involved. This is where I wanted to continue to build a community, but I also wanted to see more people from the community be able to support each other. And I think through on Facebook, I saw someone share it and was like, hey, like, this is for everyday people who have no experience. I feel like at first you needed to have some type of experience to be able to have these conversations, but they really focused on, we're looking for people who might be in this field, but also people who live through it, people who have some sort of connection. And that really grabbed my attention to be able to kind of see it like almost like a 360 level. Everyone has different point of views. Everyone has different life stories that they're able to bring. And I was like, let me apply. I want to continue learning. The city of Boston has changed. I've been here for about 14 years. It has changed dramatically. Gentrification has taken over. A lot of low-income families are getting pushed out. They're not moving because they want to. They love Boston, but they can't afford it. So in that moment, I wanted to really understand, what can I do, a recent college grad, do to support this and be able to stand up for people who unfortunately can't stand up, or they don't know how to. How can I use my platform to say, hey, this is not right. What can we do to change this and really support our community members? Because I'm seeing that it's a lot of people of color, right? The people of color of Boston are the ones that are really getting affected. So I wanted to join a community that, one, was a lot of people of color, but also allies who wanted to support these different things that are going on. So I was able to apply, and through that process, I loved being able to say that, hey, I don't know anything about this area. I need support in getting connected with, community organizations, if it's political leaders or different leaders in the community. I have no relationship in that aspect, but GenUnity really created that bridge of saying, hey, we're going to give you an opportunity firsthand to talk to them, ask them key questions that you want to ask, and just having those key honest conversation. And I really loved it. So I did that first program, and present right now, I'm supporting our health equity program as a facilitator. I'm a strong believer in creating a community where everyone is welcome and everyone has the opportunity to talk about, their lived experience, but also bring their ideas down. I love the thinking of diversity, right? I love seeing different people's ideas come to play. And I feel like when you have different perspectives, you'll be able to work on a program or project and be able to reach as many people as you can, because you're including everyone's thoughts into that. And I also love talking to people. I'm an extroverted person. I love making sure that everyone, it feels included, that everyone is here to be a part of the community. I love checking in with everyone, like, how are you doing? Like, I know that it's 7 p.m. right now. We all just came from work. We are tired, but how can we have this community and really talk about these issues that we care about and we want to support? That's exactly what the Health Equity Program has been, which is a landscape that I don't have too much experience in, but I really wanted to learn through the conversation and hearing different people who work in that field or have lived through a lived experience in that landscape. And just connecting again with community leaders, different political leaders as well, being able to have that connection with them. And yeah, no, I'm here. I feel like as a person, I want to continue learning, and I love a hands-on learning experience. And that's exactly what GenUnity is all about.
Yep. Yeah. And I think you hit it in the nail a couple of comments ago. It's like, how can I use my platform and what can I do to help others in my community, right? That is precisely the point. What can you do to change things in your community? Because if you don't do anything, you also can't complain about things, right? It is a shared effort. So, it's just very empowering to hear you say, like, I was just a college grad. I didn't know what to do, but I knew that I needed to put my 2 cents in because my community needed me, especially the people that can't stand up for themselves, the people that maybe have a language barrier, a technology barrier, a physical barrier. We need to do our part for everybody. And I love that message. So thank you for sharing that, because it's so important. we all need to do our part, especially now, right? Especially how the things in our country are right now. So as you move forward, and of course, as a recruiter, as you mentioned, which sounds like you're loving your job, what is your hope? Because you had such a different start to your story, and you're in such a different situation now, in a position now to help others. What do you hope for the next year, 3, 5 years? Would you ever like to go back to Honduras? What are your plans?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's one of the things that I was actually talking to my little sister about. She's an eighth grader, so she'll be graduating soon and becoming a high school student, and then talking about college after. And she's like, we're talking about me, but what are your plans? Like, you graduated college, you're at Liberty. What are you going to do next? And really, one of the things that I really want to do is, now I see that I have the opportunity to go to grad school. So I think in the next year or two, be able to go to grad school. I was the first one to get a bachelor's degree, and now I have an opportunity to be able to get a graduate degree that I never thought was possible. But now I'm seeing that opportunity here, and I want to take it and just be an example for my little sisters as well, to say, hey, like, my older brother was able to do it. If I have any question, I'll be able to ask them. So I think continue my education. I think I really want to enter the diversity, equity, and inclusion industry, the world, because it's really important. A lot of organizations, a lot of institutions, they are still working like it's 20 years ago. It's time to move forward, but how can we move forward and have these conversations to say, hey, let's do a pulse check. Where are we currently right now? What are some things that we need to tackle on? And I think that I'm able to really bring these conversations to the table. If it's with executives or just, an individual contributor, an employee, I want to make sure that everyone is feeling included and we're able to strategize together to move forward. And then I'm a strong believer in being able to provide opportunities for those who don't really have those opportunities, right? So a lot of the low income first gen students of color, right? I want to help that pipeline. And I think that's going to be me maybe entering like the education landscape, or maybe like the political landscape as well, kind of changing that. How can we provide resources, but also provide resources and bring it to them? Not just say, hey, we have this resource here, you need to find it.
Yeah.
It's like, how are you going to find it if you don't know how to get there? Yes. So I think I don't know how I'm going to do that, but that's something that I want to work on. And I think to my studies and being able to continue to network, meet different people, be a part of other communities like GenUnity, I'll be able to kind of discover where I'll fall into that. But I think I'm in a unique experience where I'm 2 years out of undergrad. I'm finally understanding, what am I passionate about and where can I go forward and continue to use my network to get there and really ask for help. Right. Yeah. I don't know anything. I don't know everything. I know a couple of things, but not everything. And I think being able to find those mentors who are going to be my cheerleaders and be able to support me. So I think just that, and just continue to help my community out. I think one of my goals is to do more programming in Spanish. I recently volunteered at a food pantry, so I also want to continue to volunteer more in person. So that's one of the things that I want to do. And my little sister wants to come with me. So, big brother, little sister, being able to go volunteer together, I think would just be special. Being able to teach them as well the power of community. How can we give back and say, hey, if you're moving forward, how can we move our rest of our community forward as well?
Yes, that's exactly it. And I love that message. And it sounds like you grew up in, I'm assuming, right, in a very positive environment that taught you, if you want something, you can get it, work for it, go for it, right? And it seems that that's the message that your sisters are getting from you as well. So it's also that surrounding, right, that positivity, that mentality that, yes, I can achieve this and I have a right to achieve this, regardless of whether I'm from here, whether I'm from there, whether I'm from everywhere. It doesn't matter. We all have the promise of a better life simply because we can work hard for it and achieve it. So I love that message. And thank you so much for sharing that. And it's a great question, how to bring these resources to the people that need it most, and I keep going back to your comment about joining corporate America, because there are so many people like from our communities of color that have never gotten exposed to a summer internship, right? And they don't even know how to get dressed to go to the office. Should I wear a shirt and tie every day? Can I wear, open toe shoes? Should I wear a skirt? Does my hair have to be up all the time? Like all these basic things that you don't think about, that other communities do have to think about because they've never been exposed to it because of generational oppression, right? So then you're going into a whole other landscape of conversation. But I love that you're aware enough at this age. Like, I'm almost 15 years older than you. So anyway, whatever. But the point is, you're aware that this is an issue and that you need to bring those resources to the people that need it most. So for that, really congratulations, because it's really, really honorable and necessary work. And I'm really glad that you have the mentality to do it. And I'm excited for you. This is a path still to come.
Yeah, no, it's something I'm continuing to learn every day. And, I love to thank the people who have been my cheerleaders from early stages. For me, I had someone where it started as an internship at Harvard for 3 months. And it actually ended up being me working there 3.5 years part-time. And that's where I was really able to, one, enhance my resume, be able to identify what skills do I have, what are my strengths that I can bring to any internship, but also learn that culture, like you mentioned. And just moving forward, I don't know if I mentioned it, I'm a high school mentor with an organization called Minds Matter Boston, which is just helping other, first-gen students be able to move forward as well in education. And I'm just continuing to learn. And I think when I see other city kids or any other kid that reminds me of who I was when I was younger, or also my little sisters, and I see them excited, be like, wow, like I'm able to do this. That excites me. But I also think being able to say, wow, like, my parents worked 60, 70 hours a week, right? In different jobs, but I'm able to do this and really help my sisters be like, wow, maybe I could get a job in this corporation. Like they like saying, oh, look, it's a tall building. Maybe I could work up there once. And I'm sitting on the 19th floor right now of a building that I grew up seeing walking in the city of Boston.
Oh,
I never thought that I would be up here on the 19th floor.
yeah.
So it's just small things like that really have a huge impact.
Yeah.
I just want to continue to pay it forward because it had an amazing impact on myself. I know it can have an amazing impact in other students as well.
Yes, I love it. Oh, that was beautiful. Full circle. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time and sharing your story. And I really am excited to continue hearing about your journey and seeing your successes, especially since you're part of the GenUnity family. So I know that I'll be able to see it firsthand.
Looking forward to it. Thank you again for this.
Of course. Thank you so much for your time. And for anyone watching or listening, we will share the Minds Matter Boston profile so that you can learn more about that nonprofit organization, and also obviously the GenUnity profile so you can learn how you can get involved if you are located in Boston or Massachusetts. And if there's no nonprofit like this around you, reach out. Maybe you can be the one to bring it to your city or town or state. It just starts by asking. If there's anything we learned today with Jose, is that you can ask for help, ask questions, and go do it. Thank you so much again, Jose.
Thank you.